Pictures at an exhibition by Modest Mussorgsky, orchestrated by Maurice Ravel. Pictures at an exhibition is a musical composition originally written for piano by the Russian composer Modest Mussorgsky in 1874. Later, the French composer Maurice Ravel turned the same music into a piece for orchestra, dividing the parts among many instruments. This is the version we have listened to. Mussorgsky wrote this piece after attending an art exhibition of works by his good friend Victor Hartmann, an artist and architect who died suddenly at the age of 39. Mussorgsky was so sad about his friend's death and so inspired by seeing his paintings that after attending the exhibition he rushed home and composed music that reflected the drawings and paintings that he had seen. Most of Victor Hartmann's drawings and paintings are now lost, so we can only imagine what they might have looked like based on the music that Mussorgsky wrote. Our challenge has been to listen to each movement of Pictures at an Exhibition, embark on a voyage of research and discovery as we reimagine, drew and painted pictures to complement each movement. So welcome to our own version of Pictures at an Exhibition. We hope you enjoy viewing as much as we have enjoyed creating.
Pictures at an Exhibition is divided into 10 movements that represent 10 paintings. Remember, a movement is one part of the whole composition, kind of like a chapter book. These are interspersed with 5 little movements called promenades. Promenades means to walk. The promenades are meant to portray the movement and feeling of walking from one painting to another in the exhibition.
The promenades. A visitor to a museum or gallery will often spend a few hours in the space, strolling leisurely from one work of art to another, thinking about what they have seen. The promenades are not paintings. Each one is a musical description of the act and feeling of walking around the art exhibit. Some of us, however, have turned this feeling into an art piece too.
The Gnome. The picture that inspired the gnome was supposedly a sketch of a little gnome clumsily running with crooked legs. We also listened to stories about gnomes and trolls for inspiration. The Old Castle. The picture that inspired this movement was of a medieval castle before which a troubadour sings a song. A troubadour was a travelling musician from the Middle Ages who sang songs, sometimes about love, and often accompanied himself on a guitar-like instrument called a lute. We look at a lot of castles before creating our pieces. The Tuileries. The picture that inspired this movement was of an venue in the garden of the Tuileries, with a swarm of children and nurses. The Tuileries is a garden in the centre of Paris. It is near the Louvre Museum. There are trees and sculptures and open space where children play football, and a little pond where children sail boats. In the summertime nowadays, there is an amusement park with a Ferris wheel and other rides, but that didn't yet exist when Hartman drew his picture. Sharon, who lives in Paris, sent us some video of the Tuileries. They were beautiful. The cattle. The pictures that inspired this movement was of a large cart with big wheels drawn by an ox. An ox is another word for a large bull or cow. We looked at lots of great pictures of an ox-drawn cart for inspiration too. We also read the poem The Ox Cart Man by Donald Hall. The Battle of the Unhinged Chicks in Their Shells. The picture that inspired the movement was a sketch of the costume for the ballet. The costume that looked like an eggshell, but had rooms for legs and arms to be free, to move and dance. We loved viewing footage of the Australian ballet companies, the Nutcracker for inspiration. The costumes were beautiful. Samuel Goldenberg and Chamille. Samuel Goldenberg and Chamille were inspired by two separate portraits of two men. In some historical documents, they were identified as two Polish Jewish men, one rich and one poor. Being Jewish can mean two things. Judaism is both a religion and a loosely knit group of people. There are many people that consider themselves to be Jews that are not at all religious. There are also religious Jews from all over the world, of all different races. We also viewed the synagogues, the Jewish house of worship, like a church from all over the world. The market at Limoges. The picture that inspired this movement was the market in Limoges. Limoges is a city in France, and the market, especially in old times but even now, is a great meeting place where people come from the village and chat and buy all sorts of things from fruits and vegetables to clothes and other goods. The market can be both outdoors or indoors and is generally a very busy, bustling place. We also viewed a video of a typical French market. The Catacombs. The drawing that inspired this movement was a sketch of Hartmann himself exploring the catacombs in Paris by the light of a lantern. The catacombs are a real set of tunnels and mazes underneath Paris. One particular section of the catacombs, which is open to the public, is a very